Grenada is a tropical paradise in the Caribbean, but what if I told you it was also at one point a socialist paradise that was then destroyed by the United States? Today I'm going to talk to you about the Grenada Revolution as well as America's invasion of the island. The revolution begins in 1979, but before this there was a government in power that was highly corrupt. They would rig elections, they had gangs that would go and attack anyone who disagreed with them. There was huge amounts of inequality and around half of all people were unemployed. Well, in 1979, the revolutionaries seized power, and very quickly there was widespread social improvement. For instance, unemployment goes from around 50% to 14%. There is, for instance, the improvement of infrastructure, roads, as well as the massive expansion of the airport, something we'll go touch on later. But more importantly, things like universal dental and healthcare are introduced. Schools are built. In these schools, the fees that used to exist are waived, so children can learn without having to pay to go to school. And women's rights are also massively improved. Well, of course, the United States could not tolerate such a socialist success. So in 1983, Ronald Reagan decides to invade the island, and the islands are taken over within just 3 days. Remember, this is a very tiny island. And with that invasion done, the socialist revolution is also done. Now, why would the United States go and attack such a tiny island? Sure, it was a socialist government, but, this was an island that was pretty far from the United States. It's not like Cuba, which is pretty close to Florida, for instance. Well, one argument was the threat of the Soviet Union. At the time, Ronald Reagan argued that the airport that had been expanded could have been used by Soviet jets, for instance. But we now know that this was a complete lie because reports at the time by the United States found that that airport could only be used for civilian purposes. It would not be able to actually even accommodate widespread or massive amounts of, for instance, military jets and military equipment. Well, see, I have a theory of why the United States actually attacked this island. It has less to do with the Soviet Union and rather to do with the image, the symbol, and the precedent it would have set. Remember, this is an island that is mainly populated by the African diaspora, the descendants of slaves. If this island had continued its success, don't you think that would have sent a message to other people amongst the black diaspora to also engage in revolutionary activity? And maybe, for instance, even African Americans would have seen this as a way to have a successful revolution. It would have set a precedent, and the United States cannot stand black revolution. That's why I think they invaded the island, and Grenada today now has widespread poverty and widespread violence and inequality. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed.